These my favorite ladies. How are you?
We are so excited to have Tamron Hall on our podcast. We were just saying we think that we've been on your show 3 times, and yours is the second longest talk show ever.
Running, second longest running.
For Walt Disney, ABC.
That's
It's crazy. I know. Well, see, it's because you were on 3 times. You were magical. We've been
How
through
many
so
years
much
has it been?
together. I mean, you were there for the shutdown,
Yeah. The Mother's
You've
Day
been-
in the mansion.
Mother's Day at the mansion.
I mean,
so
there's been
we've been through it. We have a complicated relationship, and that's why I have to stay on so that people
We're
can
drama
see
bound.
for the drama. We are the drama queens. That's the name of our.
That's the name of our show. How many years has it been?
2019, and we are in our 6th season, headed into our 7th season in September. But yeah, we're in our 6th season, and it's been absolutely, it's been mind blowing. I mean, you start out with something, you don't know if it's going to resonate, you don't know who you're going to connect with. And suddenly you have people walking up to you feeling as if they know you. And that is one of the most incredible experiences. When I first got into news, and I've been a journalist for 30 years, as you know, and I started out in the news reporting, on all kinds of things. It was the early morning reporter, and then I was an anchor. I've been in Chicago, Philadelphia, Texas, and I used to watch Regis Philbin back in the day. And I love the fact that everyone would see him and they'd say, Regis. And when I got the talk show, I said, I want people to see me on the street and not say, is that Tamron Hall? I want them to say, Tamron. Right? Because that burst of excitement to see you and on a first name basis really means you've connected with that person. It's not just like, I like Cat Nat on TV. It's like, no, And I called it the Reg effect. And I said, when that happens, that's when I'll know. And thankfully, it happens every day now. And I could not be happier. Someone said to me at an event the other night, oh, I don't want to bug you. Can I have a selfie? And I said, stop bugging me. I said, trust me, people on TV, if you walk in a room and no one asks for a picture or no one recognizes you, you're going to go to that bathroom and start crying. Because at the end of the day, everyone's a fan of someone. I don't care. The biggest star in the world, Stevie Wonder walks in, they're asking for a selfie. The biggest star in the world, Beyonce walks in, they're asking for a selfie. Why do you think her security is standing next to her at the Grammys? Because other celebrities want a picture with Beyonce. So we're all fans of someone. And so to me, or for me, it's such a wonderful feeling. And I know you feel the same way when people appreciate what we do, especially as women and as moms.
Yes.
How old's your son now?
He's 5.
So you have been doing this like side by side for
my son was born. My son was born April 2019. My show premiered September 2019. The shutdown happened March 2020. My son had just gone from formula to whole milk, and I didn't. This is how vulnerable I felt at the time we met. I did not know that kids didn't stay on formula past 1, or generally speaking. So his birthday, pandemic happens March, it's April, and everyone's like, trying to get groceries. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? This is when, you transition into this different stage of your child's life. I had no one around. At one point, Cat Nat, I was looking at social media and looking for like the bottles that other people were using, or like teethers. And that's how I got a lot of my clues, because I didn't have that community in person. I'm trying to keep the show on. We're in, the basement doing my show from home. And so that community of parents that I would have had with my kid going to, I guess, the little gym class that babies go to, or the little music class, I didn't have it like millions of other people. And so it was an interesting time.
Yeah, that is crazy, having your first baby, because the thing that I remember when I was having a hard time when I had my first baby, my doctor's prescription to me was go out and talk to other moms. Like, don't stay by yourself. And like, if I didn't have that, I wasn't going to be okay. And then you didn't even have the choice.
Right. And that's the thing and that's what inspired the book, my new children's book, Harlem Honey, is that, here our worlds were huge. And I'm excited about you guys coming on, and we're doing all these fun things and got big plans. And then all of our plans changed drastically, to say the least. And when life reopened for us, I was still doing my show from the basement of my home. And it was a national show that we're doing literally from the basement. And I had to keep stricter protocols because I'm a single hosted show. And so this was still in those uncertain days. And I really probably stayed a little more isolated longer than most people because of the expectation of keeping the show on. That also meant my son was away from playtime with kids. We'd go to the park, but there wasn't a lot. There were like 3 kids at the park where we lived.
Yeah.
And so when we resumed to normalcy, if that's a word, I got to Google it. My kid was at home, Mr. Like, what, mama? Like he's dancing, he's singing, he's like Mr. Party Guy. We'd go outside to the park. And if a kid came over, he was shy. Or if we went out to a place that had, probably more than 10 people, he's like clinging to my clothes. He doesn't want to go over. And the minute we go back home, it was like party on. So he had this dual personality, which of course is natural. Children have a healthy dose of caution, and they should. I noticed it being a little more intense for my son. And so by the time he went to a 2-year-old program, it was like a 2-year-old like school, like all the kids were 2.
Preschool.
And preschool, I can't look at me. What is that part called? It's called preschool. It's the 2-year-old thing they put him in. He was like leaning back, but then he would come home and babble about everything that happened after the fact. So this book really was born out of watching his curiosity grow. And life was an adventure. One of the things that was so sweet, I remember he's like 3, and we were walking around our neighborhood in Harlem, and he was so fascinated that everyone had an individual address. Like, you walk around and he's like, Mom, that's 125. And then it's 132. He thought having an address on your front of your home was the most fascinating thing. But Mom, why is it every other number? He was so curious about everything. And as an adult, it's easy to go, wait a minute, a little weird kid looking at the address. But for them, he'd never seen it. And it reminded
Because
me.
he was used to a building?
Well, I think it was
basement.
also, 2 things. I think, yes, he was used to being in a building, but I also think it is the natural curiosity of children and in children that we as adults who rush through our daily lives forget. Think about it. I'm looking out my window right now. There's a taxi. How many taxis have I seen in the 54 years I've been on this planet? At some point, every kid has their first view of something. And we rush through life, and we rush through curiosity because as moms, as parents, gotta go. How many times have you said to your kids, guys, we gotta get going? And they're experiencing that feeling or that situation or that image for the first time. My son's first taco around our house, it was like Cinco de Mayo, and it was in the middle of June because he was like, this is amazing. And I learned that he really celebrates his curiosity. And I'd like to believe it was because after the shutdown, I took a step back and I said, every kid has said, are we there yet? Why are they saying that? It's excitement.
Right.
It's curiosity. We've all done it. We've said it to our parents. And this book is about celebrating new places and new faces, and also accepting that comes with a little fear for some people, for most people. I just accepted an award, name drop. And I had sweaty palms. I felt like Eminem when he said, Mom spaghetti, sweaty palms in my hand. I was like just a wreck. I've been on TV for 30 years, and I had a rush of just emotions and, oh gosh, what if my speech sucks? And wait, is this dress full nerves? And I've done this for a long time.
But isn't that so great? Because I think adults become numb to those things too. Like we often talk about it when we used to travel, like even get on to the airport was like giddy. You were like, the excitement just being in the airport, and then you do it enough times and it becomes common, and you no longer feel those rushes, and because we don't appreciate it the same way when it's the first or second time.
I remember this one time we were sitting in business class, and it was my first time, and I saw all these people like they didn't want to have a drink. They didn't want any food. They didn't put the bed back. They didn't want to watch the movies. They didn't open up the toilet to your kid.
Right.
And I was like, they're just taking it for granted. I'm like, do you want red or white wine? I want both. Can I have all the meals? Like, I'm sitting here and I'm so excited. This is the coolest thing ever. So like for
Oh my
adults, we
God,
still
I
have those
love that.
moments.
And that's exactly the spirit of the book, because I'll tell you, one of the favorite things I love to do, I scroll, of course, social media as we all do. And the videos of kids trying something for the first time. There's this video of this little baby and they give her a French fry with ketchup. And she's like, it's like all the sensories are going off. There was another a little baby ice cream for the first time. And you just see those videos are other than cats attacking people, those are my favorite videos, because it is a reminder that as adults, and not because we, don't enjoy life. I think it's natural to rush through life. Life is urgent. Someone's always asking for our time. We want to give as much as possible to our children, to ourselves, to our careers. And so you turn into a person who is rushing through life. And I think children give us many, many things. But for me, my son in this book gave me the gift of curiosity again, to slow down and be curious. And it's okay to ask why. And it's okay to be curious and it be paired with fear or uncertainty.
Yeah, that's important.
And that's important. And so now I have a 5-year-old who is so talkative and so, curious. And still, the other day he said to me, Mom, I'm a little nervous. Can you hold my hand while I go in? And I said, well, listen, I'm not going to hold your hand, but I'll stand right here because I'm nervous too. And if we stand together and walk through, we'll both be okay. And we do these little exercises and he does great. And it's a work in progress. But my mother recently told me that I was similar, as outgoing as I may appear. She remembers vividly up until maybe first or second grade where I was the fallback. And she kept saying to me, you got this, come on, let's go. And that's the kind of mom I have. I have a Southern Texas country farm girl mom with a heart as, big as this room. But she also recognized as a woman that I would need those tools of confidence to be able to get into the rooms that I've been fortunate to get in.
Yeah.
I also, the book is so, like for parents too, because so often we hate the feeling of uncomfortability for our kids. So when they feel fearful or we don't we want to rush through their feelings of being like, okay, I'll make it right for you. Let me help you. We don't have to do that. Let's not do this. We're all kind of guilty of not being comfortable with our children's uncomfortability. And I think it's such a good reminder that the book is like, they're uncomfortable, which brings growth, and we can't smooth over their uncomfortability because really growth and resiliency is on the other side of what you're saying, fear, uncomfortability, looking at new things and being okay with it. Because it often 10 out of 10 times is going to be okay.
Absolutely. I mean, you should have written the foreword for my book. That's exactly what, I wanted to convey, is that, to your point, on the other side of it. And so often with my son, we will say, see how much fun you had? Or he'll get in the car and say, I love that. He's really into Kids Bop, which is this music.
Oh, we know Kids Bop.
Okay. We're big Kids Boppers around here. And his first Kids Bop concert, he sings all the songs. He knows everything, and he knows to watch, the YouTube videos. So we got tickets to take him to see Kids Bop live. And we got there and he says, Mom, all these people. And I said, yeah, they're here because we have that in common. We all like Kids Bop. We got closer and closer to the stage. We get through the security and he stops, full stop. And I said, our seats are here. We got to get to our seats. And he's like, I don't want to go. I want to stay right here. And I could cry right now. Going to your point, I knew how much he loved Kids Bop or loves them. And I know that it was this point of gosh, do I go back to the car? Do I pick him up? Do I drag it? What do I do? So I got down and I said, listen, Moses, you love Kids Bop. It's going to be fun. The kids are around. It's going to be great. You'll see, and it took a minute. And then I had to, and I remember something, I had to calm myself because, to your point, I'm getting I'm just God, what do I do? And I don't want to panic. And so I said, okay, calm down. And then I said, it's okay. We can get to our seats and the concert starts. We're still standing. Kids are, and we're kind of still at the back. Slowly he's looking and I see it and I see my window that he wants in. And I said, okay, let's go. So we go down to our seats. We have a blast. He dances. It was great. We leave about 5 months later. That concert was in New Jersey. So it's about an hour from us. So 5 months later, they're near us. I get tickets again. So I'm like, okay, how's this going to go? He's like the first one in there. He met them backstage. He's like, great job, guys. I was like, what?
You're like, you are what you did to me 5 months ago.
Sorry, you had me full heart attack. 5 months later, so from June until I think their show was in November. And it was just, I had to calm my body. To your point, I had to fight the urge of how do I protect him in this moment, but also recognizing that his fear was healthy for him. He needed to see he could do it. And on the other side of it was an enjoyment at that time. But when we went again, I saw an empowered kid.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, that word that you just said right there, when you caught that window, it's like you so know that when your kid is like, you know, protesting, and they have that one moment where you're like, this is the moment. And if you take it and you let it happen and push forward, then you're going to learn that lesson. But often I think that if you had left, he never would have been able to.
But think about our own lives. You guys created a platform for yourself that could have been a fight or flight, right? You're saying, and I'm sure every pitch meeting didn't go the way you wanted. Every request did not go the way you wanted. No. But it is that, and that fear seeps in, fear of rejection, fear of it not working, fear of it being too much. All of these things that are in this book and that I experience with my child, and I'm sure you have moments of it with your children, it's us. It's us.
Oh,
there's not a moment.
100%. It is. And it's how do you handle it? And then it's in essence, it goes to them and they watch you and you don't even know they're watching you, but they're watching everything you're doing. And when you do something like that is fearful, like you're not going to do it because you're afraid, they pick it up without you even, it's so crazy. They're the
crazy. And I feel fear is an advancement, an advanced conversation to have because we have adopted, and I'm happy kids cry. You know what I mean? People use boys don't cry. We don't say, well, most people I hope don't say that anymore. You say it's okay to cry. To say it's okay to be afraid is a hard thing because you don't want them to walk through life afraid, but it's okay. And understanding as we have evolved in our parenting conversation, especially as it relates to boys, saying it's okay to cry. We no longer say big boys don't cry or these things that I heard growing up, certainly. I feel with this book, it's my way of also saying it's okay to be afraid. It's better, though, not to live in that fear. And how do we get to the other side?
And it's also, your book has someone who, like a friend who helps the character through, which is like, that must be, it's okay to like have someone help
community.
Lean on to people.
That's exactly right. It was important. Two things with the book, when I was, first starting out on the journey of deciding what I wanted to do with this story, I read a lot, obviously, with the talk show. I'm lucky enough to have a lot of authors and great people come on. I will be honest with you and tell you that a lot of the content for children that is pitched to my show really focuses on helping girls feel empowered, helping girls feel seen. As a mom of a boy, I felt that I was walking on eggshells saying out loud that there were not a lot of options with that same tone. And do you see how measured I'm being? Because I'm not trying to tick off anybody.
We have 4 boys, and we on our podcast really do talk about this, how scary it is to raise boys right now, because it's like you're so afraid to say anything. Like you don't know what to do or say or what to say to them. And you're like, stand up, sit down, be quiet, be louder. It is it's hard. It's hard with boys right now.
Very challenging. So I'm happy that you've been talking about it. I'm happy that we are able to talk about it and not feel judged and open the door for this conversation. Because when I had my son, the first experience, I'm looking for how to decorate his room, and everything was like a construction worker or a dinosaur, or I jokingly say designer clothes that made him look like he owned a nightclub in Miami. So I'm like, okay, how is this boy supposed to present? Then when he was at a school, I noticed, and I'm super sensitive about these things because I don't want to appear as if I'm the mom that's coming in just riding the poor teachers who are doing the best they can. But my mom was an educator, and so I appreciate it from both sides of the world. But at this particular school that he was in, I noticed how the girls in the class were being treated in a different way than the boys. I noticed it. And I came home to my husband one day and I said, the teachers don't know that they are paying more attention to the girls.
Yeah.
And they were. And it was a very challenging conversation because I did not want them to believe that I was judging. And I know that it was not from a place of negativity, but they were. And I finally said, can we talk? Right? And it turned out we got to a place of understanding. But separate from that, just in the literary world of children's books, a lot of the books, rightfully so, are trying to correct a lot of the negative. I have 3 nieces. I have one niece who cannot go on social media. She is not wired for it. It is not healthy for her. And we at all costs keep her off of social media. She's just not ready for it. And so I understand and I get it, the body shaming, the pressure, just the onslaught of crap that we as women still go through and girls. But
Tamron, scarily though, it's happening to the boys too now. And they are obsessed with their bodies and
they are obsessed with their bodies. They're obsessed
their
with being
faces.
But also just, the behavior. It's there's so many layers to it. It's the physical, it's the toughness, it's the emotional. I've seen, to your point, where some of the curriculum, when we were picking my son's school out, some of the schools we looked at really were quiet. This is how we play. This is how, and my son and his little buddies were not playing like that. And a lot of them were labeled as hyper or out of the bounds. And I've read a lot about how some schools and some curriculum are very centric to how girls learn. And I know I'm getting into dicey waters with this, and I'm okay with that.
I think it's your experience rather than a fact, and you're allowed, like for you and for your son specifically. And I think for our, I mean, to be totally honest, our boys go to boys' schools because they needed the identity, and our boys are very sensitive, actually more sensitive to the girls. The girls are way louder. Our boys don't get a lot in edgewise. And we often are like, we have to dial into them because they just kind of float. They just float, like, rather than being seen. And they're very easy to float around rather than actually get to what's going on because they don't have the space to actually say, where the girls will get in, like, you have no idea what happened today. I can't believe they said that to me, right? So the boys don't have the language.
We looked at all boys schools as well, and it was our first choice, but through where we live, and things got a little more complicated. But to your point, the most vocal in my son's classes, not this school that we selected, but in another school he was in, were the girls. And I remember a little girl coming to me and speaking to me about my son, and it's like, he doesn't want to do that. And she's like and I was like, listen, Allie McBeal, what are you doing? She was like his lawyer, and she was 4. And I was like, so on one end, I loved it because it reminded me of, like, okay, little badass, that's what we want. But then I was like, wait, he can speak for, and I felt disciplined by her. And I want my son to advocate for himself in that way. So with the protagonist in this book and his best friend, I wanted to show friendship doesn't have to be same gender. I wanted to show that, that your buddies, because so often when I would go to his school, the girls were playing with the girls and the boys would play with the boys. And again, I know I'm speaking on generalities here, but that's what I was observing.
Yeah.
And so I wanted this strong female friend, because I'm a strong woman and I tend to hang around women who we're all up and down every day of our lives. Nobody's strong every day, but who seek that strength in their identity. And so I wanted this young friend for the character Moses, but I also wanted him to lead and not be afraid to walk into these spaces if he needed to alone. And so, it's a 40-page book. It's a 40-page book that I've poured a lot into. I made it 40 pages, so it's just enough that the kid goes to sleep. But I've been there where the book is so long, and I'm like, when is the last page of this book? So I thought 40 was a proper length for kids and for parents, so that you can move on and do other things. But I am very proud that this character is a little boy who's finding this emotional development. And I'm proud that he has a female friend in it, a little girl who's his bestie, and he's got his bird and he's got his dog. But it was very front of mind to me. I would be kidding you.
Well, we have, as two moms with 4 boys, and actually our little ones who are boy girl are best friends, and so we appreciate the whole conversation, and we're thankful that there is that representation, that they can see best friends as identified as boy girl, and then that you can also see that the boys have feelings and emotions and fears too, right?
And Moses is the name of your son, right?
Moses is my son's name.
And what did he think of the book? Like, did you show it to him for the first time when it was finished?
Oh gosh, yes. I think, first of all, the illustration, I wanted like soft, cushy. Ebony Glenn did such a phenomenal job. I expressed to her, like, I wanted a character that you could hug, that you felt like, oh my gosh, and the edges be soft and inviting. And so she captured the spirit. The Moses in the book resembles my son, like to the T, the hair and everything. In fact, he had a shirt like that. I was like, I actually know he had a shirt like that. But I wanted it to reflect him, but not be him, because again, that's a challenge too. I'm raising a kid who I want to be his own person, and I don't want to walk by a bookstore and say, wait a minute, that's me. So that's why the character lives in Texas. So that's the part of me. I moved here from Texas. So it's a hybrid character. He recognizes that it's his name, but this is the weirdest part about being named Moses. He sees his name a lot of places, like the Bible. So this isn't the first time he's seen his name. We were watching, and he's being raised by a Jewish father and a Christian mom, which is funny enough. But yes, he happens to see his name a lot, and he will say, Mom, there's my name. I'm like, well, they're not talking about you. It's another guy.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, we're so cognizant of your time, and it is we have taken you, and we appreciate you, and thank you for everything. And we love to see you kill it. Like, it's amazing.
I feel the same way. I'm so proud of you and what you represent, the content, the message. It really resonates with me. And there have been times that I watch or read or see something you've done, and it is like my sisters that I don't live with. So that's the impact that you have on your fans, and I'm among those fans. So thank you.
Oh, you're so kind. Well, we good luck, and
congratulations on the book
and the award.
And we love the book, and everyone.
I love you ladies. Come to see us soon.
We will.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys. Bye.